first got exposed to the issue of sex trafficking about 15 years ago when I was volunteering in Albania. So I was aware of the issue, but it still felt, even though I was in Albania for quite a while, it still felt like this was a foreign problem. This was stuff that happens overseas. But then a few years later, when I was in law school, I had the opportunity to intern at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Connecticut, and I got staffed on a case, a sex trafficking sting, essentially. I think for me, that kind of, it closed the gap for me on what I had heard about and what I'd witnessed in Albania. As like, this isn't just a foreign problem in war-torn countries. This is a problem here and now in America. So, you know, I didn't really know how to get involved at that point. And it wasn't until a few years later, about a year and a half ago, that I was talking to a friend of mine who had gotten a job at a nonprofit working specifically with victims of sex trafficking. And the name of that nonprofit was Restore NYC. And so, you know, as I started thinking, like, well, how can I raise money? And, you know, people have different ways of raising money. And I thought, well, it'd be good if I could do something that I love and kind of combine the two. And I love biking, and I love just freedom of biking around and not being in traffic, of not having to look for a parking space and not having to pay for gas. Well, I do buy a lot of food. But when I see people out biking and Foothill Expressway, whatever, people often joke, they'll stop, they're like, well, that's not a lazy man's bike. That's very true. There's no break. There's no resting when you're riding a Fixie bike, which, I don't know, I really like. You definitely feel more connected with the bike and with biking. You know, the next question is, well, how can I help you, Ryan? And, you know, and there are a couple of different ways. I mean, obviously my first ride is in a month. It's in New York. We're raising money for Restore NYC, so, you know, people to donate and support to Restore NYC through our webpage at fixiesforfreedom.com. You know, really, I guess Fixies for Freedom has grown into this thing of a way of, you know, using bikes as a way to raise money for great causes, like working with victims of sex trafficking, and also as a way to reach out and connect with members of the community that, you know, maybe you wouldn't normally interact with. I actually have a degree in theology from Victoria University of Manchester. And by the end of my time, which is a pretty intense study in England, you know, by the end of the time, I realized that I would probably never fully understand, well, not probably, I would never fully understand the intricacies and, you know, of God's wonder and love and the Trinity and all that He has done for me. I will never fully intellectually comprehend that. And the only thing that I know is that we are indisputably called to serve. And there are lots of ways to serve, and I know, and that people serve at their job every day just from being good to other people and being nice to other people and kind, and that's, you know, that is, there are lots of ways to serve. And so I'm not saying that in order to serve you have to do something like this, but it's just something that I just feel this is the one thing I know, this is the one thing I understand about the Bible is the call to service.